Jeff, welcome to 20 something. I'm so psyched that you're here.
Thank you.
When you reached out to me, I immediately obviously looked at your profile and your platform, and I have been so excited for this conversation. You are very authentic and genuine on social media, and that is hard to do. That's hard to convey,
Agreed.
I think. Yeah. So you do a phenomenal job. But for those who are spending this hour with us, what is going to change about their life and their mindset based on this conversation today?
My goal is to help them see we're all the same and that we can be serious and we can have fun, and that's okay. That's part of life. It's like, don't take yourself too seriously, but also enjoy the moments, the good and the bad.
Yeah. Yeah, it's something I think we can all be better at. And especially being authentic and genuine and not letting kind of all these outside voices influence who we are and how we act.
Yeah.
So I'm stoked for our conversation. Let's get into it. Wait, are we recording? Hey, welcome back to 20 something. I'm Liv, and today we're diving into something that we all know is important, but maybe don't always unpack on the level that we should. And that's relationships. Not just the surface level stuff. We're going to get real about what it means to build a relationship with yourself, with others, and even with a higher power. And how to break the ice and create authentic relationships in uncomfortable settings. In the studio today, I've got Jeffrey Mann with me, who's not just going to share the warm and fuzzy advice, but give the kind of insights that really make you think. So whether you're feeling like you're on top of your relationship game, you're in the trenches, or maybe just feeling a bit unsure about how to improve the quality of the relationships in your life, I promise you're going to learn something today in this conversation. I'm so excited you're here. I'm grateful you're spending this time with us today. Well, Jeff, you have a podcast, right? It's called Man on the Mic.
Correct.
So tell me a little bit about it. What's the goal?
So my podcast, Man on the Mic, I started working with celebrities, influencers, and having great conversations and hearing things that they were talking about. And I was like, the world needs to hear this. And so I was like, let me create a platform because I'm connected to them. I could get them onto my podcast. And so that kind of pushed me. And then I'm like, actually, who are the people that have stories and messages that don't have a platform to share it? Who can I invite on?
Cool.
And so started connecting with people and started it. Traveled to California and Arizona and invited people on, and they came on the podcast, and it was a blast.
Wow.
It is one of the funnest things that I've done. I started off, and you know this, most podcast hosts with like the scripted questions, and I was trying to sit there and move on. And I was like, it wasn't flowing.
Yeah.
And so I was like, let's just have a conversation. My platforms are faith, family, fitness, and finance. And so I'm like, we'll pivot through those topics and have a conversation. And wherever it takes us, we just go.
Yeah.
We let it rip. We have fun. And then I always tell people nothing's off limits. So even today on your podcast, go ahead and ask away. Bring it on. I love it.
I love those platforms. You know, when we were talking a tiny bit earlier, you were telling me about the importance of relationships, and one of those relationships being with ourselves. And as you list off those 4 things, you know, faith, family, finance, fitness, I think a lot of those things come down to like either your confidence that you possess or like developing those things. How have you seen like your relationship with yourself change as you've, you know, built this podcast and done this? And what is the importance of our relationship with ourselves?
My relationship with myself, as it has improved, my podcast has improved, and the conversations have gotten better.
Wow.
Because as I allow myself to be vulnerable, it gives a space for the guest to be vulnerable. If I'm sitting here talking with you and I'm all closed off and I have all these walls up and everything, that energy is felt. And so the guest doesn't open up. But if I open up about my weaknesses, my struggles, my fears, the guests become comfortable, and then they open up. And that's where they reach to the audience. And my goal always with every guest is I want one person listening or watching to be able to connect with that person and be like, I experienced, I know what that's like.
Yeah.
Let me listen in. Let me see how they have dealt with that and gone down that road, so that people don't have to go down and hit a dead end. They know, hey, let me make a turn here because I've seen how someone else has gone down that road.
Yes. Isn't that one of the most like connecting, reassuring things when you hear someone who's speaking either from a place that you are or a place that you've been, and you're like, oh, they understand, they get it, and they did X, Y, and Z, so now I can mimic those things. And it's one of the most, I think, hope inspiring like places that you can be.
Yeah. And we are more alike than we are different.
Yeah.
I think society and the news and things we see out there want us all to pull apart. But in reality, we're all going through the same things.
Yeah.
And at the end of our lives, guess what? All your wealth, all of your material things, we can't take it with us. So what is our time on this earth spent, and what actually matters?
Yeah. Have you had a time in your life where, I mean, it sounds like you have a pretty good relationship with yourself now, but was there ever a time where you felt like that was a bit more of a struggle?
This morning?
Okay.
Yesterday?
Yeah.
Last week? My buddies and my lifting partners hate this, but I always tell myself, I don't feel like I'm in good shape whatsoever.
That's crazy.
And that's the crazy thing.
Like just from looking at your social media, it's crazy.
I know. And that's the thing that I struggle with. And it's that constant struggle of I keep pushing myself, in all reality, learning to just be comfortable in my skin. I think the other thing that I felt is being a minority in Utah. I have for years lived as if this is what society needs me to be or how I need to act. And as I've learned to, hey, this is Jeff. You're going to love me or you're going to hate me. No matter what, I'm just going to be me. And the past year, I came across the phrase, I am, who I'm not, I'll never be. And as I've been able to live that and really hone in on that, I've become stronger mentally, physically, happier, a lot happier. But I still struggle every day.
Yeah.
And trying, my best friend always says, you need to love yourself more. And I'm like, I'm trying.
Yeah.
And some days I look in the mirror and I love the person I see. And some days I hate the person I see. But it's a constant battle and a struggle that, I deal with just about every day.
Yeah. I appreciate you being so vulnerable and honest. I was talking with just a family member actually who is a licensed therapist. And we got in this conversation about how everyone's inner critic kind of takes on a different personality, and how my personality, my inner critic, I grew up playing soccer. And so it mimics like a coach almost.
Yeah.
But obviously we're so much harder on ourselves, right? Where I think I so often, when I feel like I'm falling short, it's almost like, oh, you're struggling to run this mile. My internal voice is like, well, you go better run 100 more, and they better be like 6-minute miles, because if you're struggling, you better do it 100 times harder and faster. And it just leads to burnout and emotional exhaustion all the time.
Yeah.
And so I think what you're saying, like even being aware of like, what is my inner voice sounding like? And how can I, at least for me, it's like, how can I be a little bit nicer to myself?
Yeah.
And that's hard because we are our own worst critics, I think. When it comes to, you mentioned being like diversity in Utah, I'm curious because I think that's a topic that everyone can always be more educated on. What has your experience been like?
It has been good and it has been bad. Clearly, I stick out like a sore thumb in different places. I tell people I'm like a fly in a bowl of milk. That's the best way to describe it.
Yeah.
I started running a gym and doing personal training, and I never had to sell parents because they looked at me and they're like, oh, he must know what he's doing. Never asked if I was certified. Some even assumed I had played in the NFL, different things.
Wow.
And so it used to be like, this bugs me, but I'm like, wait a second. If I can grow a gym business and personal training off this, I took a stereotype and what bugged me and I turned it into, how can I profit off this and grow with it?
Wow.
And so, went from 2 kids to over 100 kids and grew it for years and had a great time with that. I could take you to Neaters in Provo during the football season. And I've had kids come up and say, hey, good luck in the game tomorrow, or great game last night, or hey, how's the team looking this year and everything.
Do you ever just play along?
Oh, I do.
Yeah.
I do. I just nod my head. I'm like, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
The team is great this year.
I'm tired, but it's been a journey. I mean, and it has had the negative sides of it. I remember when the whole George Floyd thing happened, there was all the protests in Salt Lake and everything. And I remember people called me and said, are you up in Salt Lake? And I was like, no, I was on my couch eating popcorn with a buddy. I'm like, these crazy people, I'm just going to sit and watch it because that's not meant for me.
Yeah.
But I would go to like Cafe Rio and there'd be like a lady in front of me. She's like, I'm so sorry. And would buy my food or go to the grocery store. Let's help you get your groceries and different things. And so sometimes we go to the extreme when all reality is if we just treat people all the same, there wouldn't be an issue. But when we go to the extreme to help someone because they are different, what we don't realize is we're actually making them feel more different. Like, why am I being treated differently?
Yeah.
And for about 7 years, I worked with an adoption camp in Denver. And one of the things I told the parents from Utah who had adopted Black kids, they would go and they would find a school where the football coach was Black or the piano teacher was Black. Or I had a kid who would, every time he went to school, the principal would come out and make a point to hug this kid. And I was like, wait, hold on a second. You have hundreds of kids coming to school. If you go out and hug this one kid every morning to greet him, you are now showing him, hey, you're different than all the other kids. And while I get the intent was good, what it does is actually overall harm. And so I was like, greet him like you would any other kid in the school.
Yeah.
The same thing to the parents. It doesn't matter what the coach looks like. I get that you want to have a Black mentor for your son, but don't adjust their whole social life to put them around someone like that. Because the other thing they have to realize is a lot of the Black people in Utah, like myself, are adopted. So it's not like we ever grew up in the Black culture.
Yeah.
Or were around it. And so, you know, it has this up and down. I'm a big believer in the law of polarity where every negative has a positive, every positive has a negative. And so for me, I think that's what it really is I know if something positive happens, hey, something negative is going to follow, but also vice versa.
Yeah. Man, what an interesting perspective. And I really appreciate you sharing that, where it's like sometimes things that are of the best of intentions, where you're saying it actually is causing you to feel singled out, has more negative effect than a positive effect. It's really, what do you wish that people, I mean, you said treat everybody equally, but if you could, look every listener in the eye and be like, this is what will actually help, all of these issues that we kind of face as a society, like what is one thing that each person can kind of individually do to aid in that?
I think we need to, it goes back to the commandments, universal law, love thy neighbor as thyself.
Yeah.
So how you view and treat yourself is how you should treat others. And if we start separating people or talking down on people, ask yourself, if someone did the same thing to you, how would you feel?
Yeah.
And I think that's one thing. I think another part is we in religion, even away from race and religion, a lot of people leave the LDS church because they get offended by a person. And I'm like, wait a second. Are you in your religion for a person or are you in it because of what God has taught you and what the scriptures teach? Yes. And it's the same thing, I think, when it comes to race and different things is sometimes we take it too seriously and we allow ourselves to be offended. When I tell people, I don't think a lot of people are racist. I just think they're ignorant.
Yeah.
They don't know. They haven't been educated. And so who am I to blame that person?
Wow. That's really powerful. I love that. I also think your point about religion, we see that happen a lot in our culture here in Utah, right? Where it's like you have a bad experience with maybe it's like an authority figure or a leadership figure or even just someone in the congregation, and it makes you abandon your whole belief system and your whole, I don't know, all of your habits and everything like that based on that one or, handful of negative interactions. And, as you're speaking this and we're talking about your relationship with yourself, I think oftentimes when you feel more settled in who you are and the things that you believe because you feel those resonate with you, if someone, interacts with you poorly, it doesn't have as much of an effect because you're like, I don't believe these things because of you or how you treat me. I believe these things because of my beliefs.
Yeah. And I am the first person, like when I'm at the gym, I always want to break the ice or confront the elephant in the room. But it brings people's walls down. And it's like, okay, this guy can joke around. Because I know I'm larger than most people I come across. And so I'm like, how can I break that ice and let them be comfortable? And so when you confront something like that and remove kind of the awkwardness, it just makes people, they're a lot more friendly. They're a lot more open. Now, don't get me wrong. In a situation where I went to a high school where I was the only Black kid in the school, first Black kid in school history. I've had my junior year, the KKK came to my school. And so that's why I tell people, I say, I've seen and experienced actual racism.
Oh, yeah.
A random kid at the gym dropping the N-word with his friends, that doesn't anger me. And I tell anybody, until you are face to face with the Klan, then you can sit and tell me, this is racist or this or, and so that's that balancing it.
Wow. Yeah, so many things I want to hit on with what you just said, but in talking with relationships, there is something in you breaking the ice that quickly with those kids. It does exactly what you said, where those kids are like, okay, this guy can hang and we can joke and I can be my authentic self. I don't have to have this facade that, I mean, with anyone, when we meet someone new, we all put on this facade, but it's almost like you don't know what the facade is because you don't even really know who you're dealing with.
Yeah.
And I think, we have a lot of viewers who talk about this feeling of loneliness that persists in their 20s and 30s and even beyond because of lack of relationship with others, depth of relationship with others. But everybody wants to feel close to people, whether that's good friends, family, romantic connections, or people you're meeting off the cuff at the gym, in business.
Yeah.
What are like good ways that people can like foster these authentic connections that you're doing so well?
One thing is interesting. I always tell people, when you want to make something, look for someone that has the recipe and then connect with that person, get the recipe and follow it, and you'll get to your solution.
That's how I'm feeling right now talking to you.
And so thank you. And so one thought is, if you surround yourself with people that are going to motivate you, inspire you, push you, and help you to do better. And so that's one way to look at it. The other way is, I served in LDS mission, and one of the first talks, and I was serving in West Africa, and one of the talks that was given by President Monson at the time said, we need to develop the capacity to see people not as they are at present, but as they can become. And one of the lessons I took away from that was talk to everybody. Sometimes I get in the habit where you people watch, or you look at someone and you're like, the person is ugly. And that's okay. If you're ugly, own it. Be ugly. It's fine. No one is judging you.
Yeah.
But I get in my habit. I'm like, okay, that's a person.
Yeah.
Or I go to the drive-through. This hasn't been for a while. I go to the drive-through at McDonald's, and I'm like, this person's working at McDonald's. But then I think, wait, they have a job.
Yeah.
And so it's like, as you just start to see people as God would see them, and realize everyone has a story, everyone has a life. We don't know what is going on. It allows you to start talking into reaching people. And so I'm not saying you need to talk to someone and, hey, we got to hang out every day and everything, but just a simple hi. When I go to the gym, I'll throw in like 4 or 5 Rice Krispies. And when I see the workers, I just toss them a Rice Krispie, everything, because I know they're dealing with people complaining and smelling and sweating all day long.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. And I'm like, okay, it's just a little something.
Yeah.
And take it and stuff. And I say hi to them and everything. What you start to see is, as you talk to people, the universe starts placing the right people into your life. And so if you can walk over and say hi, you don't know if that person was at that gym on that day at that time for that specific reason.
Wow.
I've run a pickup basketball group for 11 years now.
Okay.
And I've had probably 700 kids come and go since we started it. And I was in Washington, D.C., and one of the guys from the group now works on Capitol Hill. And because I had said hi to him and invited him to play basketball, I now could take my friend's family, went and toured the Capitol, we went and toured the White House. But it was because I took the initiative to go talk to someone and invite him to do something. Never in my mind did I think, hey, I want to connect with this person because they're going to help me get into the White House. No, this is an environment. I just wanted to invite people to, here's an outlet, come have fun, come connect, come get away. That's all that it was. And so you never know the relationships or the people you're going to meet. I'll give you one more example. I met a kid at the gym, and we just started talking and became friends. And I was still going to school for PR and marketing at UVU. And I got talking to the friend. He said, hey, around the holidays, come visit my family in Chicago. And I'm like, sure, I've never been to Chicago. So we'll go out to Chicago. On that Monday night, we go to the Bulls game. And he's like, we're actually going down to the floor. And I'm like, when do we have floor seats? And what I found out, his uncle was the head of marketing for the Bulls.
No way.
And so I said, hey, could I come out in the summer and talk to you about possible internships and stuff? And so I flew out and met with him in his office, and they gave me a tour and everything. But it's because I just went and said hi to someone.
Yeah.
And formed an authentic relationship.
Wow. I love that. One of my all-time favorite books is Be Where Your Feet Are. And I feel like that's exactly this idea that you're talking about. We actually talked about this on an episode pretty recently, where how often we kind of float through life, where it's like you go to the gym and you have your AirPods in and you're not paying attention, even at the grocery store or in traffic. It's oftentimes you see them more as obstacles. Like, these people are in my way to me checking out with my groceries to get home, to put them away, then I can sit on my couch and watch a movie. Right. And we so little look at these people around us and just ask questions.
Yeah.
And I think you throwing Rice Krispies to the workers at the gym or asking, like taking that chance of, hey, can I come out and intern? And it's being 100% where you are in those moments, and also just not being afraid to ask.
Yeah.
So often we're worried about stereotypes, how we're perceived, what people are thinking. And I think we limit ourselves to a lot of opportunities just because we're nervous about what they might say.
Yes.
You know, and it's like, what if you had never asked to do that internship?
Yeah.
Because that's so easy to talk yourself out of that situation. Like, I'm just this young kid. This guy is head of marketing for this huge team.
Yeah.
That's scary.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When I tell people, what's the worst thing they say? No.
True.
But on the other side, imagine if they say yes.
And I feel like they typically do. Like, people are very willing to help and mentor and provide advice, you know? So what was that experience like?
It was amazing.
Yeah.
It was, he ended up working for the Clippers and leaving, but just the knowledge and the information, like one of the things he told me when he interviewed with the owner of the team, one of the only things they talked in the interview is the owner of the team was Jewish and wanted to know about LDS missionaries going and serving for 2 years. And that's what they talked about through the whole interview. And so there's so many things, if we understand, people want to know who we know and what our life experience is.
Yeah.
It's not so much, where's your degree from?
Yes.
But it's what is the life experience and what are you bringing from that into this job or whatever you want to do? Yeah.
That's true. It's like, how often does someone look at you and be like, where is your degree from?
Yeah.
That's never really what's talked about. It's more, what have you done? What is your goal? You talked about how one of your pillars is faith, and you've mentioned God a lot of times throughout this conversation. How does your relationship with God affect your relationship with yourself?
It's everything. Because sometimes it's like when you hate yourself, you get mad and I hate you, God, and then you step back, but he's given me a chance to live and a chance to breathe. I think understanding that he is my father and I can go to him when I'm in need and he's always waiting for us to go to him is so helpful.
Yeah.
Because it's the one person, no matter where we are or what we're doing or what we have done, that we can always turn to. And so that's the beautiful thing is he accepts us as we are and meets us where we're at. And because of that, for me, it's a huge part in what I believe and who I am.
Yeah. How have you built that relationship throughout your life? Because I feel like for me, it ebbs and flows and how close I feel to him. And it's funny how often the way I feel about myself, I feel like reflects how close I feel to him. Like when I'm struggling more with self-confidence and identity and overall life satisfaction, sometimes you feel further away.
Yeah. And I think what you just said reminds me of one of my favorite quotes, because I think it's Joseph Fielding Smith. He said, the nearer a man or a woman approaches God, the greater power is made manifest by the adversary to prevent the accomplishments of that person.
Whoa. And wait, will you say that again?
Yeah. So the nearer a man or woman come to God, the greater power is made manifest by the adversary to prevent the accomplishments of that person.
Interesting.
And so in my life, when I'm like, things are getting harder and tougher and there's more temptation and there's more trials, I'm like, wait a second, I'm building a relationship with a God and the adversary is doing everything to stop you in doing that. And so I'm like, the harder things get, I'm doing something right.
Yeah.
When I do my podcast or sit down and create content and everything, and then the next day is terrible, I'm like, okay, I had a really good day on the podcast because clearly I did something right.
Yeah.
And so it's a balancing act and understanding that when life gets good, it gets harder. And when life gets easier, it gets worse.
Yeah.
And so being able to understand that and hone in on that, I think is crucial.
You know, one thing that I'm thinking about as you're speaking is this idea of fear and how fear prevents us from, I think, building relationships with others in a lot of situations. And also it prevents us from building and strengthening that relationship with God. I had someone tell me just the other day, I was talking about this podcast and I was explaining how sometimes it can be scary to start something brand new and you're putting stuff out in the world and you're like, I don't know if anybody's going to care and I don't know if this is going to help anyone. And she was like, so oftentimes when you're scared, it means you're on the verge of something great. And I'm hearing that throughout so much of what you're saying of well, I was like, could have been worried what this person thought of me, or worried about what these kids or people were saying about me. And I just decided to like make it so funny and normal and open. And the same with God, where it's like, I think it's really easy to worry if God really is in our corner, if he really has our backs. And then it leads to this whole like spiral of this crisis of hope, almost, of just like, I don't know if God really has like my best interest at heart. But I think fear, and this is hard for me a lot of times, is I think sidestepping fear is an active choice, or just living with it, of just understanding like, I'm going to feel this, but it's not going to dictate my actions in terms of God or relationships or anything for that matter.
No, I agree. If I could ask you a question,
please.
What is your greatest fear?
Maybe this is a cliche answer, but I think it's like feeling called to do something great, to make an impact, and to look back on my life and feel like I left it very average, that I didn't kind of rise up to this calling and this of helping people and teaching like I feel called to do.
What is, when you say make an impact, define that for me.
I relate a lot to what you said. That's actually me and my producer, BJ, we talk about this every episode, that if it can just help one person feel some semblance of hope or connection, that is the ultimate goal. Which now, as I'm saying that back, I'm like, it's kind of funny, because if that's the goal, then there's no reason to be scared.
Yeah. And think about it for a second. If I saw your podcast, think how many other people. And I think it's about, we do our best with the skills and talents that God has blessed us with. Stepping into, hey, I want to make an impact. We do the best way we can. I set a goal in high school is I wanted to impact 1 billion lives. I didn't know how or why I was going to do it, but I just set that goal. And so whenever I film, whenever I talk to someone, whenever I go to lunch with someone, I always have that goal in mind of how can I impact 1 billion lives. Yeah, I know it's something I won't ever attain in my life, but what I know is whatever legacy I can leave here on earth will continue to impact more lives.
No, as you're saying that, I'm like, I don't feel like that's that far-fetched for you to impact 1 billion lives. Like, just like you were saying to me, like if I saw your podcast, imagine how many people have, and you're much more successful in doing this a lot longer than I have. Like, you've probably touched many, many more lives than you even know.
Well, and at the end of the day, it's the same thing that you said, is as long as it reaches that one.
That's all it really comes down to, is like empowering. Because as you're speaking, I'm thinking of how many lives you have touched, how many lives you have impacted as one person, right? But then each of those people that you're impacting are going out into the world and doing the exact same thing.
Yeah, sorry to cut you off.
No, go ahead.
I invited one of the kids I had on my podcast is killing it in the door-to-door space.
It's amazing.
And we get talking on the podcast, and he's like, you coached me, right? And I was like, 4 years ago, I had coached him when he was in high school. But it's crazy how many kids you come across that will remember you, or people, and they remember you. You may forget, but when you change the way that you make them feel, then they're always going to remember you, no matter what the interaction was. Because even if it's a negative interaction, you made them feel a certain way, they're going to remember that.
Yeah. This whole time as you've been speaking, I think you exhibit a confidence that is contagious. It's making me want to be more like you. And, so for me, for other people who want to mimic a lot of what you're doing, sometimes it feels intimidating. Like, oh, I'm really struggling with confidence. I'm really struggling with connecting with others, building these relationships. Where do I start? Like, how do I start building that?
It's loving yourself and realizing that if you want to connect with people, you need to be you, because people can tell when you're not authentic and you're not being yourself. And so as I've learned to be Jeff, it's allowed me to be more confident in what I say and what I do. And I realize that, some people don't vibe with that energy.
Yeah.
And that's okay.
That's okay.
And, I always tell people is, don't worry about if people talk about you, because guess what? They're talking about you. They're thinking about you. You clearly have caught their attention. It's one of the reasons. Do you follow Andy Elliott on social media?
Yeah.
One of the reasons he does the whole shorts things.
Yes.
Because he's like, if you focus on my shorts and start talking about it, I've captured your attention.
Yeah.
And so it's like all these guys, and you look at the different influencers, celebrities, They wear certain colors for a reason. They wear outfits for a reason. It's not that they're just dressing up to dress up. Everything is thought out because to a viewer, to a consumer, to a buyer, we resonate with different things. And that's how they capture people.
Well, Jeff, another aspect that, you've been talking a lot about your business, the impact that has. And I'm thinking you have to be so good at building relationships with others to be able to have a successful business. That's like what your business surrounds, right?
Yeah.
So when it comes to professional and like career relationships, because I think that's kind of a field we're all just thrown into, and we don't talk a lot about it in school. Like we talk a lot about the material of what we're studying, but not so much the relationship building. It just feels like this skill you have to learn as you go. And I remember having a conversation with a friend not too long ago. She got promoted for the first time and she was like, I thought they were going to offer me a raise and they didn't. And I said, well, did you ask them? And she was like, I can do that. You know what I mean? Where it's like so often in a professional setting, we don't really know the boundaries of or the guidelines or how to kind of break through the ice like you're talking in a professional setting.
Yeah.
So what tips do you have?
Don't start transactional relationships. When we go to networking events and masterminds, there's always that person who's like, here's my business card. Here's my business card.
Yeah.
And I'm like, just talk and get to know people in the room. One of the things that I love to do is if you go to anyone's event, the host of the event usually has an assistant or a team that's there working for them. No one pays any attention to them. They go and they start talking to whoever's hosting the event or the influencer or the celebrity. And I love to create those relationships with the team because what I've learned is if anytime in the future you want to connect to that influencer or that celebrity, you go through that team. And if you haven't built a relationship with them, you have all these gatekeepers and it makes it a long process. But if I took time to create relationship and ask them about their family, ask them how they're doing, when that time comes and like, hey, I would really love to do a podcast with them. They're like, oh, go ahead.
Perfect.
Right away.
Because I know you.
And I was at a mastermind dinner event up in Farmington. I was talking to people and I just got to know people. A month later, I get a phone call from this billionaire who's like, Jeff, I heard you're a good person. I want to hire you to help me and I will write you a blank check and I want you to form me the Avengers. And within 3 weeks, never having met in person, we signed $1 million deal and rolled out a project that turned into a full-length documentary that hit 28 million views. He was pardoned by the president and went on Tucker Carlson to do an interview and everything. And that all came about because I just showed up to this dinner and I talked to people and someone said, Jeff's a good person.
You never know.
Yeah.
Wow. Wait, what documentary was this?
It's called Trevor Milton,
Okay.
Conviction or Conspiracy.
And where can people watch it?
YouTube.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah.
I know I just said this, but you really never know. And imagine if you had showed up to that dinner and had just kept to yourself and not spoken to anyone.
Exactly.
Even though, does that feel like intimidating or hard? Or have you just done it so much that it's just like second nature at this point?
No, 2 years ago, I was working with the influencer and we fly into Tim Tebow's charity golf event.
Okay.
And I'm sitting at breakfast and I have an NFL coach here, a retired NBA player here. Tim Tebow's getting an omelet over there. And you sit there and you're like, I'm in this room
like
with
imposter
these people?
syndrome. Yeah.
And then in your head, you're like, I would love to get photos with them.
Yeah.
But then you realize if you become a fan, it's different than if you become a friend. And so I knew at that time is like, I'm just going to have conversations with them and act like I'm meant to be at that table and in that room because, hey, Jeff, guess what? You're in this room. And so in doing so, it helped me gain more confidence. And the more I went on doing that and doing different things, it allowed me to just have conversations and realize at the end of the day, no matter my wealth or their wealth, they're a normal person. Yeah. They have struggles and weaknesses and have families and everything.
Yeah.
And so when you know them on a human level, you just connect so much better.
Yeah. What a powerful idea too. I think that, everyone, regardless if they're in a room that fancy or like, heck, it can even be in a conference room. And it's so normal to feel that imposter syndrome. Yeah. I feel that frequently doing this. And it is just this mentality of kind of like fake it till you make it a bit, where it's like, I am just going to continue to try. And I think we would be surprised by how many people are feeling that same way in those rooms that we're in.
And I started, when I first started, everyone would look at me and they'd be like, they don't see me as the PR guy. They're like, I must be the security. And I had multiple times. And so if anyone notices me whenever I work, I always wear all black and I carry in my backpack a fake earpiece. Because what I realized when I started going to events, as soon as I put that on, I can go in the back room of any event because they assume I'm security without me saying anything. Wow. And so I always said, okay, if you're going to assume that, I'm going to use it and I'm just going to walk by. It's not on me to correct you for your assumption.
Yeah.
And so I just started to lean into these different things. And I'm like, could I use this? What could I do? What should I change? And so just started to use those different things. And so it's comes down to understanding your environment. And then I guess the biggest tip for anyone out there is, and you said this earlier, be where your feet are and be present.
Yeah.
You have one chance, one opportunity to have these conversations. If your mind is somewhere else, even if I had come to be on this podcast, my mind is elsewhere or I'm preoccupied with different things. I'm not being present and not fully showing up for you. It's the same thing that each room is, how can I show up and what can I do to serve?
Yeah, absolutely. And then I think it's going back to that dinner you were just speaking of. If you had been in that dinner and you were on the phone all the time, where it's like maybe you had the best of intentions to talk to everyone, but you were preoccupied with something else, you would have missed that.
Yeah.
And you never would have known that that huge deal was about to come your way. And I think that just as a generation, we miss a lot scrolling on our phones. And there is purpose to social media, and it is a great tool and connects us with a lot of our friends and family that we don't see often. But I think about that, especially more now so than I have ever in my life, of what have I missed looking down at my phone?
And if I may,
please,
if you're scrolling, check out Man on the Mic. Just give me a little plug there, but don't doom scroll other things.
But if you're going to doom scroll Man on the Mic.
Yeah, because if I won't show you now, but if I show you all the reels different friends show me at all hours of the night, I'm like, you shouldn't be doom scrolling anymore. Your For You page is
wild.
Yeah.
Yes. My little brother's For You page. He was showing it to me yesterday, and I mean, there's brain rot, and then there's my little brother's For You page.
Well, I have friends, I'm like, headphones have to be in when I view their reels because, I'm not playing this out loud.
Yeah, no. There was one time at work, my little brother had sent me a bunch of reels, and I was playing them out loud at work. Bad call. And
that's the other thing I wanted. It is my best friends are my age. We're all in our 30s.
Cool.
And they have moved to New York, New Orleans, and Tampa. And they have no pressure of dating. Now, me having stayed in Utah, it is one of the most stressful things. You're 30, you're not married, you must be the Antichrist.
This is like a naive question, but I feel like as a woman, it is everywhere I go all the time. I went to a family party a couple days ago and I kept a tally. I got asked 19 times just by this is just my cousins and my aunts and uncles on one side, where it's just like, so why aren't you married? Like, do you feel that a lot as a man as well?
Yes. And then I look at all my friends who got married right off our missions and are divorced and single dads. And I'm like, you should have rushed it.
Yeah.
And I've dated one girl on and off for about 10 years.
Wow.
And we met up at Utah State, and that's an interesting.
Go Aggies.
Yeah, that's a story for another time. But no, it is. It's almost toxic how much pressure they put and the emphasis on getting married and starting a family.
It's hard.
And I'm like, is everyone ready so young?
I know. And then it's like you're speaking about your friends that live in different places. My friends that live in other places, they say the same thing. And so often I'm like, man, that's so nice. That is just not what it is here, you know? And so it's hard to hear and really comprehend that it's actually like that other places because it's just so different here. You feel like you're 27 or 30 going on 95.
Yeah, tell me about it.
And it's like, maybe I actually just want to figure out who I am a little bit more so that I can be a better partner. And when something enters your life that makes you pause and it's like, oh, maybe we could build a partnership together. It's like the whole romantic magic part of it. And sometimes I feel like this pressure to just get married so quickly, it takes a little bit of that out. And I'm not saying people get married young. That's not their experience. Just for me in my life, I'm like, if I would have gotten married at 22, carnage. That would have been the worst idea for me.
Well, and I look at myself, it's like, now I have my own company. Now I have my house, and I probably spent over $100,000 the last year working on myself.
Wow.
Personal development, retreats, masterminds, therapy, coaching, everything. And I'm like, if I hadn't have had the time to work on myself, I wouldn't have been able to show up for my future partner.
Yeah. And what's so cool about that, it's not even the money you spent or anything like that, but it's like, you know how to hold a relationship and be a partner while also simultaneously developing and growing yourself. And you have to have that confidence as an individual and being stable by yourself to be a partner.
Yeah.
You know, it's like that cliche saying where it's like your partner, compliments you, but doesn't complete you.
Yes.
How do you approach it? Like, do you go on lots of dates? Are you more just kind of doing your thing? Are we just going on dates with this Aggie girl, which I would respect because she's an Aggie?
Let's see. I have a date tonight after this.
Okay. What are you guys doing?
We're just watching a movie.
Okay.
I have a date or a walk on Thursday.
Going on a walk for a date?
Mm-hmm.
That is the best thing I've ever heard.
Well, so she loves the gym. I love the gym. I'm like, just want to walk. You have to do your cardio. I have to do my cardio.
Yeah.
Let's just do it together and then talk and get to know each other. It's tricky because I'm so much, having launched the company in the last few months, I'm so focused and tied up on that. And I travel a ton. And so I try to go on dates. The last 2 times I've gone to Chicago, I've taken out a girl I went to high school prom with.
No way.
Because I'm like, you're the only person I know in the city. Let's go do dinner. I'm not doing dinner by myself. But it's also tricky because I've dated a woman with kids my age. I've also
her kids were your age.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, such an interesting experience. Because I know like Christmas is next week and my whole family's getting together. I know that's the big question. My parents always say, we want grandkids. And I always tell my dad, I said, if you want grandkids, I don't need to be married. You give me 9 months, I'll get you a grandkid. We can make it happen. But I'm like, if you want it done the right way, have some patience. Yeah.
Yeah. Yes.
And I love this because this gets to get out to the world. And as you impact people, this is a perfect line to help you do that. What is your ideal partner?
I feel like there's a lot of things that I could list, right? But I feel like I have narrowed it down to a few key things. And they're all things that I try to do a lot, right? 1, gotta have a relationship with God, Jesus Christ, like be really rooted in that. As I've grown up, I feel like I've become a little less tied to, it has to be this religion. And I'm more tied to, like, I'm a very active LDS member. I care a lot about God and my relationship with him. And I just don't think I would be very compatible with someone who doesn't have an element of spirituality to them.
Okay.
2, they need to be like an inherently kind person and want to serve, Be kind. Be kind. 3, they have to have ambition and goals and, like a purpose of this is what I'm doing. This is why. And then 4, I got to be attracted to them. And it would be really nice if they were athletic and also like at least an inch taller than me.
Okay.
Those are my 4 things. And I think it's really cool in dating, having this list of knowing what you want, because we talk about all the time in dating, you get to be pickier.
Yeah.
It's not judgmental. You get to be pickier. Anyways, I've taken up so much of your time. No. Jeff, I really, really appreciate you being here today.
Thank you for having me.
You have inspired me a lot to just be more authentic and genuine and confident. And I consider myself pretty decent at building relationships with other people. And you've taught me a ton about how to be better. So
just be you.
Yeah. Any parting words of advice?
If it was easy, everyone would do it. I think that comes to business. I think it comes to building relationship with ourselves, with God, and even dating.
I love that. Well, Jeff, thank you again so much for being here. And I hope that, all of you out there, like just like me, felt a lot of these same things in this conversation of how to be more confident in who you are and just being you. That's not some secret formula. It literally just comes down to being you and not overthinking and not letting stereotypes or judgments of others impact that. So As always, I'm so grateful that you are here. I'm grateful that you choose to spend this time with us. And I am forever in your corner and forever cheering you on. And we will see you next week on the next episode of 20 something. Jeff, that was awesome.